for the founding crew. While the algorithm tells me what I already knew.
Start with the best.
Oh,
I don't know.
we're recording now.
Yeah, now we're recording. So first of all, you didn't have to dress up for us. We told you that, but we appreciate it.
Well, I did.
This is casual for Malcolm Graham.
This is pretty casual. I just left an event at Johnson C. Smith University. They're celebrating their Founders Week this week. And actually on Saturday, I'll be getting the Arc of Triumph Award, which is the highest community engagement award that the university gives me and three other Smithites. So it's going to be a big week for the university on Beatties Ford Road. And then after this, I'm going to an event for the Historic Excelsior Club. Sean Kennedy is doing a great job really trying to reimagine that space for the community. And so I'm really excited. So I kind of dress for them.
Fair enough.
And you guys are just
Whatever
a tweener.
you want to say. However you want to justify.
Has the Arc of Triumph Award recipient been announced yet, or does that not get announced?
Yeah. I was honored to be one of the four Dorothy Counts. Our graduate Smith is one. John Crawford is one, and Jessica Williams, who's a radio personality.
Yeah.
Who won?
All four of us.
Oh, it's four awards. Okay, yeah.
Four.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, there's no way you beat Dorothy County. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just happy to share the stage with
Yes.
her.
Dude, I love Dorothy Counts. I think she is one of the most epic treasures in this community, and she's just such a good person.
All right, Malcolm, for listeners who don't know, explain the significance Dorothy Counts has in our community.
Again, a graduate of Johnson C. Smith University, but more importantly, she integrated the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system here locally and opened the doors for many African-American students to get a quality education, fought the good fight, and still fighting that fight today for equity, inclusion. She's just an outstanding woman. And then actually, there's a sculpture of her right across the street from the university in the Pocket Park. That brass.
I did not know that.
And if you look at it really close, is her picture when she's entering
A student
that school.
is walking into that school.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so just to be on the same stage with her and John Crawford and Jessica Williams, I'm just honored to be recognized by the university.
Are you going to get a statue soon yourself? Do you think has that conversation begun?
He's starting to build it now.
Maybe name a tennis stadium after
There
me.
you
Center
go.
court. That might be even better.
Oh well.
The Malcolm Graham Tennis Complex.
Yeah.
So
By the way, we got. You're our first guest back on the pod since we've done it 5-6 years ago. We picked you because, well, we know you. We know all of them, but we know you. You've been in the news a little bit lately. You might be mayor. We have a whole lot of things to talk about with you, but you're going to participate in the topics of the podcast with us. But you brought us, thankfully, a copy of your book, The Way Forward. You signed it. So I don't know. Will this have a worth? Can
that
I trade
says,
this?
Tarek, quit being an idiot. Love Malcolm Graham.
He's like, don't miss you at all, Malcolm Graham.
Well, no. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here with both of you. I missed you on council for sure.
I doubt it.
It's all relative.
I think you mean that a little bit. You and I got sideways many a time.
For sure.
But also many a time, like you and I it was always business for us. So we would quickly then reset and we'd be on the same page.
On to the next
someone
issue.
else would annoy us even more.
Yeah. Well, I was telling my wife when I was coming here today, and obviously she knows Larkin a lot better than you, but I told her, I said, our voting record, probably 90% of the votes we cast were probably
You were a strong Republican. What can I say?
Oh, please. I got enough problems out there, please.
That's true.
But the issue is that the issues of governing locally,
Yeah.
there's no DRR issues.
It was logic or
Illogic.
Illogic.
Yeah. But our voting records are pretty similar.
Yeah.
We diverge, but for the most part, a reliable, moderate voice for moving Charlotte forward.
So before we get into our list of topics, I do want to give you a chance to plug the book, tell people where they can find it, tell them what they'll find in it. But I don't think we ever actually formally introduced our guest.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have our
kind of start the podcast.
Yeah.
That's how
well,
this
because
works.
people
But now it's time.
Right now we
it's
have to
time.
introduce our guest.
Yeah.
So we do have current city council member, former state senator Malcolm Graham. He was a colleague of ours from 2019 when you came back onto the city council, which is your second stint there, with a decade in the state senate in between, and now, among other things, also an author. You mentioned tennis, also a Johnson C. Smith tennis alum. So you've done lots of things in this community.
I could probably beat him.
I doubt you could. I think he still plays.
I still play.
Now Tarek might beat you in one of these new paddle sports because he's gotten into those.
I can beat you at paddle.
or
Adele, sorry.
or
He,
racquet.
he probably could
Or-
Padel, and,
No,
and maybe
probably not.
Pickleball.
He looks like a pickleball player.
He does look like a pickleball player. Central casting.
Now, this is the first moment I realized 2 Democrats in our first freaking guest.
But you did. Thank you for the book. Tell people about the book, and then we'll get into our news topics.
Well, The Way Forward is a book I dedicated to my sister, Cynthia, who was tragically killed at the Emmanuel AME Church some 11 years ago, along with 8 others in the congregation by white nationalists, a racist. And last year was the 10th anniversary of the shooting.
10 years already.
10 years, 11 years this coming June. The book was published actually last year, doing extremely well. A lot of college tours, a lot of civic groups, a lot of progressive groups, as you would imagine, fighting hatred, racism, and discrimination. And the book really is about putting the readers in my shoes as I first found out that something happened in Charleston. I was in my bedroom watching the news, CNN, shooting in Charleston at Emmanuel AME Church, 9 fared dead. And I called Cynthia, and obviously she didn't answer. And the book takes up right from there and kind of gives the readers an opportunity to walk in my shoes for the next several months.
Well, I can't believe it's been that long. I don't know how long I thought it'd been, and I guess it's been 7 years since you got back on council, which it doesn't seem like it's been that long. It's time flies, but I'm glad to hear it's doing well. Obviously, I'm sure people can get it on Amazon, but if they want to help the author and local businesses more, where can they find it around town?
Parkwood Bookstore. They've been very good to me. We had several book signings there. The book is doing extremely well. I tend to talk about how Cynthia lived versus how she died. The highest academic scholarship at the College of Charleston is named after Cynthia. The library where she worked, she was a librarian for 34 years, now bears her name. The Cynthia Graham St. Andrews Regional Library, an anonymous donor at University of South Carolina, where she got her master's degree from, donated over $250,000. So there's a scholarship for those getting a master's in library science in her name. And so we focus on how she lived, not how she died, but it's history. And I think it's a story that needs to be told, and we have to remember our history, or we will repeat it again, like what happened 4 years after Charleston and Buffalo, when something similar happened at a grocery store.
So we appreciate you being on. You're gonna participate in the podcast. We're gonna go through the lightning round. We're gonna talk about a semi-main topic, the banking success we've had, and then we're gonna get around to some
City
of the
council business.
some of the hot the Malcolm is here. We're gonna talk to you about
Malcolm in the middle.
That's exactly
Literally.
all the things that are there. But in the meantime, till we get there, we're gonna churn through some lightning round items or what's going on around town. You feel free to chime in. With
One that
insights.
I decided we have to add in
Go
because
ahead.
we've got the tennis man in the building. Give us the latest. I think we briefly touched on the fact that WTA, which is one of the largest women's tournaments in the world, currently held in Saudi Arabia, I believe, is looking at Charlotte as the tennis guru in Charlotte. Tell us what the latest is on that or any other tennis happenings.
And additionally, we had a request for a question from Bo Thompson from WBT. He wanted to know the status and chances of Charlotte getting the WTA finals from Saudi Arabia and how it would work here.
That's literally what I just said.
Okay, well, I'm just you're repeating what Bo's original question.
Okay, so shout out
go
to Bo
ahead.
Thompson.
That's it.
So sports and entertainment is in Charlotte DNA, right? NASCAR, NFL football, NBA basketball, minor league baseball, soccer, hockey, amateur sports. The only thing that's really missing in Charlotte is professional tennis. The Sports Commission did a great job over the last 2 years hosting the Charlotte Invitational at the arena. Huge success. Obviously, we tried to get the Cincinnati Open to Charlotte, made a great bid, failed. But sometimes you win by losing.
Were we getting secret shopped on that? What's your hunch on how that?
No.
That they were playing us, or they're playing Cincinnati against us?
No, I don't think so. I think there was a general interest in coming to Charlotte. But there's a whole old saying in economic development deals: time kills deals.
Oh yeah.
And this thing started in January. It ended in October when the state still hadn't passed their budget. There was $20 million in the budget for the project that we couldn't access because the budget wasn't approved. 9 months later, they got anxious, took the sure thing that was right in front of them. But sometimes you win by losing, and we continue to talk about professional tennis, the Sports Commission, Danny Morrison, and the folks over there.
They've been crushing it.
They've been crushing it, right? A lot of
Will
things.
Pitt's over there now
Will
leading.
Pitt's doing a great job, right? And so WTA is a possibility.
But what percentage possibility would you say?
Um,
Like over 50, under 50?
I think we're in the third set, right?
Well, you got
tennis analogy going.
use a sports analogy that everyone knows.
It's
How many
deuce
sets are
in the fourth game of the third set.
Can we do innings, maybe? Quarters?
I like our chances. Obviously, I'll let Will Pitts and the Sports Commission do their jobs. We don't want to get in that mess again, right?
Foreshadowing.
We'll let them do their jobs, but I like our chances. Charlotte is, a lot of council members talk about Charlotte being the 13th largest city in the country. No, we're an international city now, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that later, right? And I think coming to Charlotte, they hadn't been in the United States for 20 years, the WTA championships. And so luring that event to Charlotte, not doing very well in Saudi Arabia for a wide variety of reasons, makes sense. The top 8 players in the world by their ranking will come to Charlotte, hopefully play in Spectrum Center, have practice facility maybe at the convention center for a 3-year run. Again, details still to come, but I'm cautiously optimistic about our chances, and I think that would be a great event for our community. And it's really not about the tennis. It's about travel and tourism, sports and entertainment, and the people that work in the industries, the busboys, the waiters, the Uber drivers, the hotel, the bartenders, the waitress, those that work in that industry, feed their families, get yet another international event for a 7-day run to feed their families.
Are you going to be viewed? I mean, I think this is a bit of a rhetorical question. Are you going to be viewed as the architect of this if it happens?
Well, I
It'd
only
be hard for anyone else. This is tennis. I can see on the other topic there were other cooks.
Well,
This is kind of that's like somebody else saying
historic
a fintech deal
or historic preservation. Yeah.
I've been working for 7 years, even before I got back on council in 2019, on trying to lure professional tennis to Charlotte. I've been to Paris talking about this. I've been to New York talking about this.
Sounds like a rough life.
I've been to Charleston talking about this. On my
over oysters and champagne.
He's about to say he's paid for it.
on my dime. Let me.
That is an important distinction.
On my dime,
yes,
no city
true.
funding at all, no city travel, because I'm passionate about the sport. A lot of people don't know that I host a tournament every year, the Charlotte Amateur Tennis Championship in September.
Did know that, actually.
Last year we had over 380 players. So I'm embedded in the sport. I love the sport. I love the business aspect of the sports, and I think it would do really, really well here in Charlotte.
Inside Baseball, Larkin, I don't know if you were on council for that. I think you might have left by then. When Smudgy and Malcolm, they have this like professional long-term rivalry. One time, Smudgy, we were talking about tennis. He chimes out that Malcolm used to wear those tight booty shorts back in the day. You remember that?
Of course, I'm guessing.
I don't remember that.
I remember it.
I'm guessing Smudgy's basketball shorts weren't any longer.
They were pretty high up back then.
Probably the same era,
Okay,
right?
so answer is you didn't give us a percentage. You feel optimistic, and it's in the third of some undefined number of
happens,
sets.
R&D and the NC is going to sponsor a charity match between you and the number 1 player in the world to see if you can get 1 point off of them.
It would be tough. I had the opportunity to hit with Carlos Alcaraz when he was in town.
But hit with, as opposed to him
It's
firing 100-mile-an-hour serve at you.
It's totally different, right? It's like shooting free throws with Michael Jordan, right?
Instead of actually playing one-on-one.
Exactly. But
That's pretty cool, though.
It's pretty cool. Sloane Stevenson, Madison Keys, T.I.Fo. I had the opportunity actually to hit some with Serena and Venus in Charleston many years ago. Cool. So I'm embedded in the sport.
I think I do better against you than you think.
I might give you a charity game.
All right, good. Yeah. We're going to wear shorts?
Can you,
no booty shorts.
When was the last time you played traditional tennis, Dark?
Oh, like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, seriously? I thought you were only doing the new era paddle stuff.
I mean,
now.
I played a set. I'm not playing like long. He would crush me. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. All right, move on. We killed tennis. Anytime Malcolm's around, it's like tennis takes up 90% of the conversation.
Says the man who wants our main topic today to be banking.
That's fine. Hornets.
Hornets
Recap.
and Checkers. We have one season ending, one season that's now going into its second chapter in the playoffs. Hornets did win their first play-in game, lost their second. That first play-in game, and unfortunately neither of us got to be there that night, but I think was the highest attendance of any event at Spectrum Center ever, definitely for basketball. And it's from everyone that was there said it sounded like the roof was going to blow off the building. I was looking. So one of my concerns that I didn't really know, and I went back and looked. I'm like, how much of this team can we keep together? Because obviously the momentum is crazy with this team right now. We've got like almost everyone coming back, except for like a handful of backbench, role players. There's no reason for this team to not be like a 4 seed going into the playoffs next year.
That last game, though, man.
They got annihilated.
That was really, really bad.
And I don't know what to make of that. Although that Magic team did then go out and win game 1 against the Pistons.
I was going to say, they made the Pistons look like a JV team during that. And they did it at their own home court. So, Pistons home court. So, what do you think?
Here's the thing. Sports and entertainment in Charlotte is hot. All our professional teams this year have made the playoffs.
It's crazy.
And Charlotte's a way more fair weather fandom town, and that frustrates me. But you go to Cleveland and the Browns fans are out, even if the Browns won one game last year. Panther fans come out of the woodwork when they're winning, and Hornets fans come out of the woodwork when they're winning. Of course, when we're not, which has been the case for a lot of the last decade, we don't see so many folks.
Panthers made the playoff.
Hornets almost made the play-in
game. The soccer team made the playoff. Well. The Checkers are doing well.
Women's basketball.
And our women's soccer team just this past weekend made the playoffs.
So we're hot. And again, that's the icing on the cake. But again, what people don't see is how many people these teams employ and how the economic impact for getting frontline workers to work. Every time there's a game, every time there's a match, people are working and getting paid, and that's the economy.
This wasn't on our list, but let me just ask a quick question of you now. We're probably going to do a full episode on this at some point. Now that the Hornets season is over, and it's exciting, and people are actually pumped up for the first time in a long time, and with the new ownership group and everything, you remember the start-stop, obviously, kind of pause around the entertainment district around there, the transit center, the epicenter sale that's happening, just all that stuff. What's the punchline on where you think that should go?
If I had a magic wand, I would try real hard to relocate the transit center and make one big development with the transit center and the Epic Center as one big development to really create a huge entertainment district. Open space, some green space, some shopping. We just need to energize the arena area, the practice facilities coming online. I think we have a unique opportunity to create a new edge of trade and Tryon further down to complement some of the growth in South End and also to complement what we're trying to do on North Tryon Street, right? So if I had a magic wand, I would do that, and I think that would be really,
I think
really
what killed us the last time around is we tried to make it all do everything, and we were trying to jam underground and that just sucked the oxygen out of the room. And I think the way
and now neither of those facilities
with what you just said. Let's solve that really well somewhere else. It doesn't have to be completely solved. It needs a little something there, but it doesn't need everything.
Neither of those facilities is currently serving their purpose.
Yeah,
the transit center is not an effective and welcoming place for transit users. The Queen City Corner, formerly Epicenter, is not an effective retail node.
And the inside of the arena looks so sick now with all the and everything that's been done. Let's make the outside match it and
or at least not be
for people
repelling
to be there. So interesting.
I talked to the manager about that. Talked to some folks at the Alliance about that. I think that's what Charlotte needs. We need to get our mojo back in some respects. This can-do city, we can do that, right? We can really
let's do it.
Positive.
We just found our project to partner
when you leave council, you don't have to say stuff like that anymore. It's amazing.
I believe
You're just
it.
like, hey, yeah, it'd be cool.
I believe it.
We're gonna do it.
We're going to do it.
Hey, good. We're putting that on you. That's going to be put that on Malcolm Graham's list.
What's next on
well, we already mentioned it, but the Checkers. We mentioned all our teams are winning, and this is one of them. And we're recording this on Wednesday.
It's the path to Calder Cup, right?
Correct.
And when does that end? When is the championship?
It would be like 5-6 weeks from now, I believe. It'd be like early June, I think, would be the end. But the first game is tonight. So we're recording this on Wednesday, home playoff game. But it's a 5-game series, I believe. So I think there's 2 or 3 home playoff games in this first round, including one this weekend, I believe. So, yeah, Checkers back in the playoffs. That's the team that through all the bad years and all the lean years of the Panthers and the Hornets and the Bobcats and the whatever, the Checkers win like every year. I mean, they don't win the whole thing every year, but they're in the playoffs consistently. And the crowds there have been up year over year again, back to like city investments in these facilities. We have made Bojangles Coliseum Ovens Auditorium a more desirable place for people to go. They have a better fan experience when they're there, and they come back more often. So those facilities are breaking records year over year for the last couple of years in terms of usage and revenue and all of that. And it's just all a good thing. But yeah,
And the city
go support
just
Checkers.
recently invested $25 million about a month ago.
So we don't die of heat stroke while we're in there this summer.
And that the ice will stay
Ice.
right?
Yeah, that's the problem making the Calder Cup Finals is it's June in Charlotte, and they're trying to keep ice frozen in the
Especially
in
can't
the
let it rain either.
ice in the arena.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
for sure.
that was already being fixed.
Yes. Call the CRVA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
Is there anything else on your lightning round list there, Larkin? You don't even remember, do you?
Well, there's not.
Good.
Is the answer.
So let's just slightly extend.
Unless you
lightning
wanted
round.
to say, he mentioned the Excelsior Club event.
Oh yeah, let's hear about.
Did
that.
you want to
Let's-
touch on that?
What's the latest in it? You know me, I have mixed emotions about this, but I'm not going to share them in this conversation.
I actually have mixed emotions too because as a historic preservationist, the building has now been left to rot for so long that the building's going to be torn down. They're going to try to recapture and recreate some of that history, and I think it will be a way to tell that story, but the building will not be
So
there.
it's basically historic recreation.
Well, you know that like historic Williamsburg, Virginia is all recreated. None of that stuff's original.
Really?
Seriously.
I mean, I've never even thought
Well,
about it.
right.
for
And so
second.
a lot of
Okay.
things, if you do it well, you can do it in a way that does effectively tell the story.
That's
But
the side he's on. My side is like, is this how we use taxpayer dollars? But it's fine. You're right there in the middle. What's the answer?
And my side is that Beatty'sford Road, where the club is located, is rich in history, legacy, and tradition. Beatty'sford Road, just like the city of Charlotte, is really hot right now. We just invested $5 million for a land purchase for the Weaver Market, affordable housing, as well as some retail on the corner of 5 Point. The Excelsior Club is next up, a $3 million investment from both the city and the county. Private fundraising going on right now. Sean Kennedy, 10 Cinema, 2 developers in town. It's a passion project for them. And I think once this is established and built, it really will provide yet more momentum for quarter revitalization. It's a revitalization project for the club as well as the quarter worthy of investment.
Do you feel this is the right? Just one question. I'm trying not to. Do you feel this is the right role for government to be playing?
Yes, I think we have a responsibility to invest in our Quarters of Opportunity program, whether it's Beatty'sford Road, I-85 in Sugar Creek, Graham Street, Wilson Boulevard, Freedom and Wilkinson, Albemarle and Central Avenue. I think the city has to invest in these corridors, some which have been historically underutilized, bringing economic development back, supporting small businesses, and making sure that there's good, affordable housing for those who want to live there.
my beef is
One follow-up question. That's all I was afforded.
my
enough.
beef was just that building should not have been left to rot for over a decade as it was. And then now we've got people who are thankfully trying to come in and make the best of a bad situation. But when was the last time that the doors of that club were open to serve a drink? Probably 12 to 15 years ago.
It's been a while,
But if it had only sat there empty for a year, it could have been saved. When it sits there for 10, buildings don't like to be empty and unused.
So you're going over there today for an event or an update of some kind?
I'm going to a private fundraiser to help raise the balance of what's needed.
Well, that's great. I do appreciate people coming together for the private sector funding of it. I think it is the noble cause on that front.
Malcolm's going to try to get a tennis court put over there in the parking
He's
lot.
like, that's it. We're going to make it tennis capital headquarters. Yeah. So just the final item, and then I want to get to your stuff. As a banking and fintech nerd, we've always been on this banking fintech kind of dominance marketing tour, trying to show how second largest banking capital in the United States, great history, and with our homegrown banks and kind of what's come up here, it's been fantastic. There has been a change recently with some of the other banks, JP Morgan, others that have been dominant players elsewhere are kind of like, it's a new chapter where now some of these other established folks are coming here. JPMC announced 400 jobs just recently. I think the two things that stuck out at me on that are, one, these are corporate jobs, which means they're going to be the corporate side. But in addition to that, every single line of business, whether it's the corporate bank, investment bank, retail bank, are going to have representatives and top leadership there. So that's like a really big deal. Then all of a sudden you get people that are C-suite, like kind of executive level, intermingling with the community. And then you had Sumitomo, that's SMBC, and a Japanese bank that's putting 2,000 jobs in Charlotte by 2032. We had that Capital Group announcement, 600 jobs, American Express hiring a few hundred, Pacific Life, Citigroup, 510 jobs. I mean, it's almost this kind of secondary wave of established bank players coming in, and all of them are citing talent, this war for talent. You can't beat this market that Charlotte has of the talent because it's not New York, but it has this condensed level of it. And then finally, the fact that JPMC has chose SouthPark right there, I think it shows a really interesting dynamic. Like, we've kind of known, okay, they'll go work Uptown or South End, but then they'll drive home and they'll be in South Charlotte or somewhere like that more than not. Now it's being closer to that area, and I think it's this next Renaissance movement for what SouthPark is going to become more than just a mall in the future. So what do you guys think about this news, and is it just me that's nerdy and excited about it?
It's just you that's nerdy about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it, right? Because it demonstrates once again that we are an international city now, with international players willing to relocate their companies here, because the talent, as you indicated, is here. There's synergy when you get all these banks together. They play off one another. For an example, my wife, Kim, has worked for Bank of America, Wells Fargo, First Citizens North Carolina. Now she's at Pinnacle. And so her expertise is valued. She's covered 5 states for Pinnacle now. Her expertise is desired. She gets headhunters calling every other month about a new job opportunity in banking and finance in Charlotte. So it's a hot market. The Japanese bank is going to invest $58 million in our local economy. Having JP Morgan on SouthPark, again, expands that opportunity there. And even on Beatty-Ford Road, within the last 3 years, Chase Bank is there. Ally is on Beatty-Ford Road now. Wells Fargo is coming back on Beatty-Ford Road. Everyone is investing from the teller level all the way to the corporate jobs, and it's really, really exciting.
Y'all letting them have drive-thrus yet, or is that still on the do not do list?
We got it covered.
Okay, good enough, Larkin. I know you don't care about that stuff, so let's move into.
My hope for it, honestly, is that, like, if you get some of these that go back into more of the legacy buildings in Uptown, where traditionally a lot of the banks were headquartered, and many still are, I think that helps solve. It sounds very disconnected from our conversation around Transportation Center, the Queen City Corner, former Epicenter, all of that. But I do think that it helps, because if we've got more people coming back into the office space in Uptown, and people on the street going out to lunch, going out for a drink after work, all of that activity makes Uptown safer. All of that activity makes people feel better about everything in our center city. And so all of these jobs, and a lot of these, I assume, are probably more traditional jobs that are going to be in office 4 days a week or maybe 5 days a week. And so I do think that the rising tide there can really help with a lot of the challenges we're seeing in Uptown, many of which I think have been, if not caused, at least exacerbated by offices having a higher vacancy rate and people having more days where they're working remote. All of that's contributed, I think, to where we are uptown.
And a lot of these banks now are beginning to now meet in person, and they're requiring,
or at least try to.
Trying to.
They'll be the last group of people that gets their employees back 5 days a week.
A lot more traveling into the city for banking business and post-COVID. And so now, Charlotte really now is a Thursday through Sunday town, sports and entertainment, arts and culture, special events. And we can pick up that Monday through Wednesday business with corporate travel and the corporations now leaning in A number of banks now are asking their employees, and some are requiring them to work from the office now. I think our local uptown economy will really,
stronger.
a lot stronger moving forward.
It needs it that the around the entertainment district around the arena, the entertainment district around the stadium, and then just public safety in general. That's the formula.
But the activity, that's what you're saying too. But like activity levels help with the public safety piece. I mean, the more active Uptown is, the less of those sorts of criminal element you're going to see, the more people are going to be, more people companies got in their office building, the more attentive they're going to be to the outside of their block. The more they're going to want to make sure that it's a welcoming place for their employees to come to. So
okay, we're done
City
with
business.
the whole part of the episode.
Lightning round over.
All that's over, and now this is just about Malcolm through the close.
Lord.
We're going in.
all right,
Look,
we're starting on policy stuff.
Oh, should we start with the big question? Everyone.
No,
wants
we
to
lead
know?
with we end with the
Okay,
policy.
got it.
All right, we're going to cover policy stuff because
can't
Malcolm's
ma-
on the relevant committees for these things. He's on the public safety committee. He's on the transportation committee. And we do want to get, because we've talked about it on this pod, it's been the focus of podcasts lately. I-77, I want to get your take on that. Red light cameras, because you're on the safety committee, and y'all just had a committee meeting about this like 2 weeks ago. And then last week's episode of the podcast was we talked about the maybe excessive drama around what is otherwise a really exciting announcement for our city, bringing the Stellar Awards to town, and how that turned a little political, which then we'll spin right into what I think we end with, which is, why did that turn political? Well, because maybe the mayor's race just started. So, your choice. Do you want to start with I-77 or red light cameras?
Let's go with I-77. I think that's...
See, it's hard to ask these questions before we ask but because how he answers the last question is really going to differentiate the lens. But we'll do it of how we see him answer these. So 77, do you believe that this is and our listeners, we've gone in depth on this, so we don't have to bring everyone up to speed. Do you believe that this is likely to be solved in a way where at least a majority of people are happy?
I think no matter what the outcome for this discussion, there will be people unhappy, right? History matters. How the highway was built matters. You can't move the highway. It's a fixed object. Congestion and traffic on 77 South is real. And either we're going to address the issue now or we're going to address it in the future. It's interstate commerce. It's federal funding, state funding, no local funding, but a local impact, right? And so I think the answer is in the design. It's only 10 to 15% done. I requested, and the secretary has agreed, to send the 4 shortlist developers to town in May to talk to residents, elected officials about the design of the highway as they prepare to compete against one another. I think that competition will yield good results. Simultaneously, I think we ought to talk loud and clear about community benefits. No matter what the design is, whether it's design A or Z, there will be impact. Those who are impacted should be compensated, market rate and above. The city should look at how they could provide additional benefits for the community as a whole. For an example, all these interchanges are being built at state standards. They probably should be built at city standards at the state expense. There's 3 bridges.
What would be like, can you give me an example of what I genuinely don't know. Can you give me an example of like what might be different between those 2 standards in terms of
pedestrian friendly, maybe a bicycle path, maybe a walk path, versus just a.
To be clear, on the interchange, not on the interstate.
Yeah.
Biking down I-77.
The exit ramps, right? The exit, right? There's 3 bridges that are not included in the highway design. They probably should be, and so I think we need to have an adult conversation with the community. I've always tried to tell people what they need to know versus what they want to hear. And that's sometimes telling your friends and supporters bad news. But I think we have an obligation, yet a responsibility, to be truthful and honest and forthright. And that's what I've been trying to do since October, when I first saw both designs. And I probably was the first council member that rang the bell saying this is a problem. And both designs were, from my perspective, dead on arrival.
But I saw you as the first council member to step out, and you did your town hall, which I thought was interesting, an interesting
Both
approach.
the right thing to do and maybe also the wrong.
Yeah, but you know, it taught me one thing, and I would pose this question with that one lesson that I learned in that, which is I saw you come out on the side of the community to bring awareness, to have their voice heard, and to say, I'm not sure how I feel about this either. And then I saw in clips them turn and start yelling at you, even though it was very clear to me that you weren't out there, let's do a voluntary town hall so I can tell people that they're in trouble and they're not going to get their way. I feel like there isn't a solution out there that's going to appease the constituencies that live there in the communities, that are driving the BPC and that are driving Sustain Charlotte, to the point of they're going to say, okay, well, we're good enough with this. Therefore, it's going to be, do we do it with tweaks around the edges that they're still mad, or does it not happen? Yeah. So I kind of find that hard. Like, it's real binary to me.
It's a tough middle, right? Even at that town hall, Tom Hatchett was there. And Tom Hatchett talked about the history of how the original highway was built and the displacement of African-American families, and how that displacement separated that quarter from parts of the city. So history really, really does matter. And I had to tell folks, hey, I'm on your side.
Right. But it showed just how, like, it was like, no.
Well.
When people are mad, they don't know, and they don't know who to yell at. They yell at who's in front of them, and Malcolm was in front of them.
And that was a small fringe group of individuals that are on Instagram, young folks. I love their energy, their enthusiasm. But at some point, you got to do the work and solve the equation and put the puzzle together. And so I'm committed to doing the work and solving the problem. But like I said, history matters. You can't move the highway. The capacity issues there, crash issues there, and how do you design the highway will be the biggest point. Again, community benefits, community advisory committee, the fact that they now have opened an engagement center, because right from the very start, the engagement from NCDOT was poor.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this will be a major part of whoever decides to run for mayor, to utilize the populist angle of this, and that's going to complicate things?
No, I think what the community is looking for whoever runs is leadership, not only on this issue, but a wide variety of issues that the city is confronting. Who is willing to lead? Who is willing to be intellectually honest? Who's willing to tell the community what they need to know versus what they want to hear? Who's willing to do the work?
I think that the challenge is, and I agree with you, because I get frustrated when I feel like people take the path of least resistance and just say what they know people want to hear. And politics at every level, across both parties, top to bottom, there are people that do both of those things. Either tell people what they need to hear and give them facts and truth, or they tell people what they think they want to hear and just take that more path of least resistance. I guess the challenge is that a lot of times the public doesn't know. It's hard for the public to know when they're not in those rooms and not in those conversations which person's telling the truth. So it's easy to say, in this case, it's easy to say, oh, that's a thing that we don't have control over, we can't do it. And then for someone else to say, well, there's just not the political will. There's not the political will to do it. Or, I mean, we have these conversations all the time at the city, and you've been on both sides of this equation. In a Dillon rule state, there would be things where you go, guys, we do not have the authority to do that. And someone else would want to say, well, no, there's just no political will to do it. We could find a way to do it if we wanted to. And the public goes, well, I don't know. They're not as dug into the weeds on these things as we are. And so they go, well, I don't know who's telling the truth. And I think in this case, there's going to come a point where something's probably going to happen with I-77. And somebody's going to say, okay, well, we can get this much out of it, but we won't be able to get that done or whatever. Someone else is going to go, no, if there were 6 votes here, we could do it. And nobody's going to know who's telling the truth.
Yeah, and I guess a question, I talked to an individual just yesterday, and I asked them about I-77 South. What does winning look like? Right. What does winning look like?
Does anybody have that answer?
Well, it depends what group you're in.
Right.
But for a lot of these groups, nothing looks like winning except you absolutely kill it.
Like one council member said, I'm not going to support it if one house is displaced.
So that means killing the project, probably.
Right, because a project of this scale and scope, even with the best design, there will be impact. There's no way around it.
It's mitigating it.
How do you mitigate it? How do you make sure that those who are impacted are compensated for it? Even those who may be around them are compensated for the disruption. So that's where the honesty comes in, right? And telling the community. And Larkin, I think the public is smarter than sometimes we give them credit for. They watch out these meetings. And I
don't mean to say they're not smart. I mean to say that, like,
maybe
there's a difference between being smart and having the bandwidth to dig into the details of something. Tark talks about banking. It's not that I'm not smart. It's just I don't have the bandwidth to dig into banking. That's the field he's in. So there's things that, like, we all have our areas of expertise, and we all have things where you go, I'm kind of sort of paying attention to this, but I'm not going to.
So you stress test this for me. I said this last week, and Larkin and I have been debating for this a bit. I think that this is how this ends in one of 2 scenarios. I think the more likely scenario is that some good conversations happen. This new information center that Larkin went to, it sounds like it's really good.
Our buddy Federico Rios over there.
He's running it, has a lot of things to help debunk misconceptions. The design teams are going to come down and they're going to tweak around the edges. 5% changes, maybe 10%, not anything wholesale. And then the most likely scenario is they're just going to move forward and say, okay, yep, here it is, we're done. I think the second scenario, which is less likely, is Governor Stein feels that, oh, well, this could be my McCrory moment. I'm not going to just come over the top. And I think there's some arguments for and against that being the case. And he's going to say, I'm going to listen to what those locally think and toss it down to you guys in some collection to vote on. And it dies because of the mayoral race and all the other factors. There's not going to be the appetite to do 5 or 10% tweaks. It's not going to be the possibility to do a complete start over, and so it'll be dead. And I think it's one of those 2. And I think the most likely one is it's just going to happen with some tweaks around the edges that doesn't have another touch point to the local leaders. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would probably be somewhere in the middle of all of that, right? And I go back to the premise, if you accept this to be true, once again, if you accept that history matters, if you accept that you cannot move the highway, if you accept that there is congestion on the highway, and the stats demonstrate that there's crashes on the highway, we all drive 77 South, so you know that there's an issue. I think it's all in the design, right? And you can't shrink the footprint. You can't widen it, because if you widen it, you definitely will impact more neighborhoods and communities. I think you accept the premise as it is and try to fix the problem. Now, while there's $600 million from the state paying for it, no city dollars, and if the city can extract compensation for exit ramps and bridges to be built, $100 million of community benefits for housing and workforce development and training opportunities, if the citizens can be involved right from the very beginning with a citizens advisory committee, working with the 4 shortlist developers, honing on the design that they can agree upon, I think that's the best scenario. But that demonstrates a lot of political maturity from the council, from the neighborhood residents, from the Black Political Caucus and others, and so we'll see where it goes. But it's complicated.
Well, speaking of bad driving in Charlotte, just 2 weeks ago, I believe, and you're on the Public Safety Committee, y'all talked about red light cameras. This is something that we had broached very briefly. I don't know if it was the term Tark and I served before you got back or after you got back, but at the time there was just really not viable for municipalities in North Carolina to institute these programs. They had died off like 20 years ago because of changes in the law that required pretty much all the money to go to school systems, which in and of itself isn't a bad thing, but meant that you couldn't really pay for the cost of the system. There have been some changes in the laws. There's potentially more on the way. Where did y'all end up with that committee conversation around either trying to roll this out as a pilot program or more broadly? Just anecdotally, we know driving in Charlotte is very dangerous. Well, statistically, we know it's very dangerous. Anecdotally, we know people in Charlotte are, on average, very bad drivers. And Tark and I talked a lot about this the other week too. I think we all agree that we want our law enforcement officers, especially when we have a deficit of them, to be able to focus on the highest priority crimes. And that's not, running radar or trying to pull people over for red lights. If we can automate those things, it frees up bandwidth in our police department too. So what was the conversation like there? And what do you think the likelihood and timeline is that we'll see some sort of a test or pilot roll out, if it will at all?
Well, you need to come back to Charlotte City Council because you just summarized that perfectly in terms of all the touch points along the way.
Will this be available on YouTube later if you'd like to share with anybody?
Are you ready to go back to council now, Larkin?
Well,
yeah, we need them. So I think you're accurate in your presentation of where we are. It's already had 2 council hearings, one at the committee meeting itself, which was voted out. Then the
was that unanimous?
I think it was.
Okay.
And then council got a presentation at a dinner meeting. So I think the next stop for it is really for a council vote. All the things that you just outlined still exist, other than the technology is better, the cameras are smaller, the cost is the same. It goes to the school system, but we bear the cost of the operation. So it'll probably be no net gain in
or
it.
you can recoup the cost of the operation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can recoup
so
those
and
costs.
which undermines the main argument, which people just sort of, if you look on any Facebook comment thread about this news story, it's just a money grab for the city. Well, the city's not getting a profit off of this.
Nothing at all, right? And we talked about, Councilmember Owens talked about even having dummy cameras, that, because they're expensive, right? So
Like the people that have the home security system sign that don't actually have the home security system.
yeah, right. So we can do the whole city,
Gotcha.
right? And you don't know which cameras which. So a lot of conversation. It will come for a vote, and I think it would probably pass.
And that would be probably for a pilot program that would then prove maybe the necessity or desire for something more broad.
I think starting with a pilot, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But again, that's for the council to decide how and when and to what extent. I don't want to get ahead of the council.
Well, speaking of which,
Speaking of council feeling like you've gotten ahead of them, it's time for the political segment.
Yeah, let's go. To recap, and we discussed this at great length in last week's episode. What it seemed, just to tee everyone
2 weeks
up,
ago?
and you can correct. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, last
Well,
week.
no, I mean the meeting was.
Yeah, no, the meeting was last week too.
That was only 1 week ago.
Yeah, it was like a week and 2 days.
It feels like a year ago.
It does. So basically, here's how I described it. You and I have not discussed this. So this was my interpretation of what happened. Having been ED chair before, knowing what the recruiting is, and knowing you and these topics, you were engaged by some folks that knew this was happening and started working with the CRVA. The communication back and forth, and this is we did this, I did this plenty of times. It's a lot of years of work in a lot of cases where you're just, hey, here's an update. How's that going? You got a portfolio of these things and you see what hits. So you're, and then you're the booster, you're kind of the champion, and you're making it happen to stay on everyone's radar. CRVA and other groups are doing a lot of work. Then all of a sudden it gets hot. You're moving forward. You're helping shepherd it. So all the kudos to you. You did the work. You deserve that. And it got to a point, and it sounds like from what we heard as you were on the stand a week or so ago, that you had communicated to some extent with the manager, with your colleagues, letting them kind of know what was happening, and then and perhaps you even alluded to the fact that there was some need for city involvement in funding and making sure this happens. The event comes to town and announces that, hey, press conference, this is all going to happen. It's great.
Did you say this is the Stellar Awards coming?
Stellar
in August?
Awards, yeah, coming. And they got state support. They got CRVA support, and they announced and say we're coming. And there was a to-do that city support was necessary, and that's when
desired, maybe not necessary.
Sorry, and that's when the CRVA presented last week, and it was a round robin where, in large part, the majority, the mayor, either candidates or people who have been said are candidates or are being discussed, kind of all had a little round robin. So that's kind of the background from an outside perspective. What do you think was missed, and why do you think that happened? And did that upset you?
Well, so I think we have a tremendous opportunities to host the 41st Annual Stellar Awards in the city of Charlotte. It's equivalent to the Grammys of gospel music. It is a CRVA event, not a City of Charlotte event. They sent a letter to the mayor, Central City Productions, in October of 2024, indicating their desire to come to the city of Charlotte. The mayor forwarded that email to me and told me to run with it, see where it goes. We did. We had a meeting at Bojangles in Adams Auditorium. We showed them that because the arena was under construction, renovation for 2 summers. They said no, thank you, but no thank you. They didn't want Bojangles. So it was dead. It was over. They invited me months later to come to Nashville for the awards show there in 2025. I declined. It was the same week as the U.S. Open. So you know where I was.
It all ties back to tennis.
All goes back to tennis, right? So I declined. But after the show, they said, hey, I said, you guys need to come back because the arena now is open. And by the way, we have this new theater called Carolina Theater. You really should see it. So they came, and they loved it. And they said, okay, we may be very interested. So I turned it over to CRVA. My job is done. I serve basically as a relationship manager. Hey, Graham, they call. What's the largest black church in Charlotte? Hey, do you know any minister of music at this particular church, right? Hey, tell me about the black culture in Charlotte, the black spiritual culture, right?
Same reasons Tark calls you.
Yeah. And so I was a relationship manager while CRVA booked the business, right? Every step of the way, the mayor knew, certainly the manager knew, and as we transferred to the new ED director, I had breakfast with Councilmember Mitchell and informed him that this was a possibility.
New ED chair.
Yeah, ED chair. In December. They got the state award of about $1 million. I texted the manager on Christmas Day, thank him for the rum cake.
His wife makes an incredible rum cake.
I texted him right after that was all said, and I was like, man, I missed that rum cake. He didn't respond to me.
Of course he did. And I said, oh, by the way, they just got $1 million. This thing's about to happen. They announced that they were really coming in January of this year. And I told the mayor, I told the manager, I told Councilmember Mitchell, Mayor Pro Tem. Even Mayor Pro Tem texted me back. Great job, right? And then I informed the council in February with an 8-paragraph email, and I sent it to you guys, right? Who, what, where, when, why, to what extent.
And there was a mention of a potential request for additional support.
Well, here's the thing. Their coming to Charlotte was not contingent upon Charlotte doing anything.
Anything more than what it's already doing in as much as CRVA support, whatever.
Exactly. There wasn't asking the city of Charlotte for a thing at all, period. And so I sent the council another email saying they have now identified the dates for the press conference. You guys should come. Save the date. Then I sent them another email when we got the formal embargoed press release from CRVA. It's next Tuesday. You guys, no one came.
I was there.
You were there. No council members were there. No one responded to any of the emails other than Councilmember Johnson. Great job. Way to go. She called. The email was addressed to the mayor, the manager, Manager Bryant, the county.
How many days in advance before the press conference?
This was like almost a month. This was mid-February.
With the date of the press conference in there?
The second email came that announced the dates, because when I first sent the first email, I didn't even know.
But there
what
was
it-
enough lead time. It
Of
wasn't anyone
course.
saying I got it 12 hours ago.
No,
Okay, I'm just checking.
that's not the case at all. So summarizing, I don't chase waterfalls. Or
Stick to the
Don't
rivers
go-
and lakes that you used to.
Bro, you can't say stuff like that on this podcast.
Nor do I chase false stuff, right? Because it was intellectually dishonest.
So what happened? So why? What you explain to me what we saw in that council? Sorry, look, it's got me messed up. What did we see in that council meeting? Why was that positioning? Because
How did it turn into gospel
I
game?
think so. Until you explained all that, what I thought the answer is you were kind of the front person. You got the lion's share of the credit, and you kind of, I thought you bypassed the council members.
No,
and then I saw what you said, and I've heard this explanation now from you, and it seems like okay, maybe that wasn't it. So why would they be doing that? Why would there be so much confusion on the process and on all those elements? If that's the case, why do you think that?
I'll answer it two ways. I'm not a big Oprah Winfrey fan, right?
You said you're not?
I'm not. She's okay, right?
All right, I'm with you.
But she said something when she was
Oprah-gate.
talking to a therapist at my desk years ago, right?
I'm sorry. When Oprah was talking to a therapist at your desk,
I was at my desk working. She was on TV.
All right.
I was like, we got to back up.
Keep up, market.
No, Tarek thought Oprah was at your desk.
I was just like, let him finish. This seems amazing.
but they were talking, right? And they said when a married couple argues about the dirty socks in the middle of the bedroom floor, it's always about something else.
Dude, he had the worst analogies for the last 10 years.
That was a good one.
That was a good one, but that just reminded me of all your analogies, man. That was good.
You two went to the same school of analogy.
We were tied.
So I don't know what
So
it was about. You have to ask them.
Yeah, but it was
But we do. And we do know what it's about. I mean, it is understood that Mayor Lyles will not run for re-election in 2027, which creates a vacuum because it's been 10 years now. And actually longer than that, it's been more like what we talked about this the other week. I think it's been more like 14 years since there's been an open mayor's race where the incumbent was not running. And so it creates this vacuum. You've now got all these people who've sort of been waiting in the wings for their opportunity. And now it's all Democrats who aren't that far apart in their voting patterns or whatever. And they've got to figure out a way to differentiate.
Pause it. We'll get to that. That'll be our closing kind of element. But before that, there's one thing you said. I just want to make sure that I understand and that the audience all understands. What I always thought the one missing link is when you announce something is done and it's no longer competitive, but there's still a step for support, the city support, and at some level. And you guys did discuss that, and you did say there will be an ask, and the manager came and said there will be an ask, but I haven't gotten one yet. So for that to happen. For that announcement, I think if we had some of those other members that might have been saying something to you, I think what their response might be at this point would be, yeah, all that, everything up to that was fine. But then if there's an ask and it's basically, if not for the fact that we give this money, they wouldn't be here. If that doesn't exist, then.
No. Let me straighten it out. So they were coming, notwithstanding any city support, just like the NAACP convention came last year without any city support. Now, whether it's the PGA or the CIAA or when we get major events, they come with their national sponsors. Stellar Wars is bringing national sponsors, but they also want to wrap around with local sponsors, right? And we know who are the usual suspects. Bank of America, Truist, Wells Fargo, Foundation for the Carolinas, Duke Energy, Mecklenburg County, City of Charlotte. These companies always get hit up for sponsorships. They can say yes. They can say no. The City of Charlotte can say yes, like we did last year with the NAACP convention that announced with a big press conference in 2024 that they were coming in Chicago. That's when they announced it. They subsequently came to Charlotte, made more announcements. The council started taking up a financial question for them in June of 25, passed $200,000 in its budget for support, and the conference was held in July of 25. No difference.
So it's more a sponsorship offer than an enticement demand.
Taking you at face value,
Yeah.
I think if you had said it in those words last week, you would have shut them all down. Because you'd be like, hey, you can, you don't have to, it's up to you.
Well, again,
that wasn't part of
it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the dirty socks.
Okay, so now let's move on. So let's talk about what it is about, which, again, we don't know who's running for mayor. I think we start with the simple question for you. And we are two seasoned old colleagues of yours, so you're not going to be able to BS us.
Lord.
Let's start, not are you or are you not? Would you want to be mayor?
I think our city is in dire need of leadership. I think our city is in dire need of a different vision moving forward. I think there's some internal issues that we have to solve as a board that the public doesn't see. How we process our work, how we facilitate our meetings, how we disclose information, and when we disclose information. I think it's killing us, right?
I wouldn't disagree.
And so there's an internal thing that needs to happen. And then there's the external thing that needs to happen to really begin to paint a different vision for the city of Charlotte on a wide variety of issues, increasing our standards from just another large city in America to an international city capable of doing big things. I think Charlotte needs to get its mojo back, its can-do attitude back, wrapping around a wider vision for affordability, public safety, housing, jobs, and workforce development, embracing fintech and banking, embracing what Atrium is doing with the Pearl District and medicine and innovation.
And for that reason,
And
today,
diving in,
on R&D and NC,
I was going so well.
I am announcing.
You were just going.
I was just, and sports, and sports.
The question I'll remind you was would you have interest in being the mayor of Charlotte?
Not are you going to run yet? Would you want to be mayor?
I think
Would you personally?
I think I can do the job. I think I would be well at doing the job. I think I'm good at putting a puzzle together. I think I'm good at really blocking out the noise and just focusing on the work. Mm-hmm. And so, there's an interest there for sure.
All right, perfect. 'Cause that's a great
Starting point.
It's a starting point. So now, which I'd be, I wouldn't.
Now
be
we're going to wheel in a lie detector.
Would you, if you had to file today?
Oh no! Come on.
Would you run?
That's not fair.
Because there's a lot of time between now and then.
But there's a lot of work to do too, right?
Yeah.
It's not like running for a district, right? I had no opposition this year. Last year, 2 years ago, I had token opposition. You have to build a team. You have to raise money. You have to probably look at a consultant, right? You have to build a coalition. I got some disadvantages, right? I've never ran citywide, right? So you gotta look.
I can vouch that matters some.
Yeah. You're my wife, right? I mean, and my family. I'll be a grandfather again in June. A little girl.
Congrats.
Kennedy, right? So there's personal things I have to do, right? And then, can you be a mayor of a city probably in 2 years from now where 3 members will be in their second term and probably 4 will be on their first month of the job as a new council is seated?
So you're talking about the scenario where a lot of people are running.
Can you pull that team together for a common vision? Can you change what I think needs to be changed? The culture in the building, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and so it's just more than, do you want to run for mayor?
Yeah.
Of course I'm interested in doing that. Do I want to do the job? Because being mayor is a position. Then there's the work. Do you really want to do the work and embrace the work? I think I can embrace the work and pull people together, but it's a personal thing, right? That I haven't made a decision yet.
All right, we can accept the interest for now.
That's fair. That's
but,
totally fair.
But I think to maybe a question that will be relevant to a lot of our listeners and people who both either just because of interest, pay attention to the work of the city council, or because they have a nexus with it in their professional lives. How do you think, and maybe the Stellar Awards is an example of things to come, hopefully it's not, but how do you think that as all of these people, because you've now said, yes, I would be interested in that potentially, I think there are probably at least 4 of your colleagues who would, if they were being honest, answer the question the same way. Not going to commit to running at this point, 18 months out, but yeah, I'm interested.
I think 1 or 2 of them might.
Well,
Maybe.
we'll have them on and ask them.
Almost.
I mean, filing it would be a little over a year from now. So there's plenty of time and lots of things can change. But like, let's assume that there are 5 people in council now that at least are interested. Is that was this Stellar Awards Gospel Gate? Was this a foreshadowing of, is everything for the next 12 months going to be looked at for half the council through the lens of how do I separate myself from these other folks? How do I differentiate? How do I take somebody down a notch? How do I put myself up a notch?
I don't see it that way, and I only can look at myself in the mirror, right, and evaluate what I say and what I do. When I see the Stellar Awards, and given the what I just laid out, which is 100% true, I got the work done. Whether or not the WTA is coming to Charlotte or not, I don't know, but I put in the work. When I-77 South was not even an issue yet, I brought it to the community's attention, brought people together, worked with the secretary for him to come to Charlotte, to talk to the residents, talk to the council. I put in the work. So what I'm going to do over the next 18 months is what I historically has always done, was to focus on the work. And I'll let the work speak for me, and all the other stuff I'm just not going to even deal with.
So I'll answer your question, Larkin. Yes. You're going to see a ton of that. And honestly, as I listen to Malcolm speak, and I'm glad we had you on first, and I'd love to have some of the others on, I think what's going to happen is nobody, even if they wanted to in their right mind, and I think everything you said strikes me as very authentic. There are some others that might in their head be like, I'm definitely running. And no one's going to say it. And it's going to keep going like this. And there's going to be Malcolm, Dante, Dimple, Smudgy, and Victoria. And
Are they interested?
They're all interested. They all probably either haven't made up their mind or won't say it. And it won't be until someone takes their name out of the running that all of a sudden, because no one's going to announce super early. So it'll be somebody who might say, hey, I don't need the drama of this. I'm taking my name out of the hat. And therefore, we're like looking at 4 people and then 3 people.
I'll take the other side of that bet, and I'll say it starts in December. Someone officially announces in December, January, which is super early. And then others either have to follow suit because they don't want to fall behind, or 2 or 3 people get in, and then people start to remove themselves because it's like, it's too crowded and too messy.
You think you'd get the BPC endorsement if all this scenario happened?
I haven't even thought that far.
Well, here's a fun, I'm not asking you to respond to this necessarily, but here's a fun thing that we considered on our last episode.
Yeah.
Every one of the people we named has at various times, and in most of the cases in most instances where those 5 people have run for office, they have had the support of the Black Political Caucus. And in the last Black Political Caucus endorsement cycle, it is highly likely that a number of Black Political Caucus members voted for all 5 of y'all on their ballot.
Yeah.
This scenario would then obviously make those people who like all of the names that we just listed have to choose. So it is a math equation that is beyond my ability to figure out, but it would be.
We're done hammering you on this now, but you did mention in your opening monologue about there's a kind of a lack of leadership over the coordination of this council. It's kind of a little bit of Wild West, lack of transparency and all that stuff. Do you think there's something in the works to help solve that, or at least make it better over this next year and a half?
I don't know. We had an interesting retreat, and we did talk about the habits of high-performing councils.
This was in January?
And boards. It was in March.
Oh, it was delayed because of the snowstorm or
because of
something.
weather. So we've had that conversation in March, and we had it before. You can't talk about it. You got to practice it. And even going back to the Stellar Music Award, at any time, any member could have called me or send me an email or respond to the email, stop by my office. The Stellar Awards coming to Charlotte, or contemplating coming to Charlotte, was one of the worst kept secrets in the Black community. It was just so.
And probably the government center.
Yeah. So it's not like, so people knew that there was scuttlebutts, and a high performing board or member would say, "Hey, Councilmember Graham, I hear this thing is bubbling. Tell me more."
I didn't hear about it
And
at all
I-
in
and I-
South Park.
Well,
I also can, as I've repeatedly said, these are the kinds of conversations that happened in our first term because we were in the building. Being in the building together, pre-COVID, these are the kinds of conversations that happened.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not in the building as much, but we're still there. I mean,
What
and,
do you-
and it's
I'm-
just
You're not gonna. It's not fair to ask you, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Like,
Go there.
I'll answer it for him.
what amount? What do you think the average number of hours that those new larger offices City Council has are being occupied per week?
I'm in there a lot.
I said average, not your average.
1 to 1.5
I think
hours.
the newest members, JD, Owens, Mayo, are there,
Good,
and then others come, right?
because there was a period of time where
It
those
was-
things
it
were
was a-
coat
It
closets.
was a go. I think I wrote the whole book up there.
It was the quietest place you could find in town.
Because it was
Well, good. So that means as a taxpayer, I own a
I
portion
was-
of your book.
I am. Well, I was there, writing.
He
I'm
needed a
in so
place
much-
where there was.
I am in so much trouble.
What new council member do you like the least?
Oh Lord, I love my wife.
No, are they? Do you think, because we've seen several new batches of new council members come in, do you think these folks are picking it up? They're jumping into. Is it harder for them right now because of some of the big topics like 77?
There's always going to be a big
There's
topic.
a lot because anytime you put new folks into an established group, it's a lot. And then it's the freshman thing, and we've all been there when you campaign and you win. And you're going to do all these things, and you get there, and you realize
It's a little more complicated.
it is a little bit more complicated than that, right? And so I think they all are extremely bright, intelligent, capable, love Charlotte, love the district that they represent, and I think they're doing a good job.
I'm glad to hear that they're spending a good amount of time in the building, because I do think not only the organic interactions that happen between council members, but then the opportunity, you pass someone in the hall staff wise and you go, hey, I wanted to actually pick your brain about something, or I wanted to ask you this question or whatever. Of course you can pick up the phone and call those people, but that doesn't always happen. But when you run into somebody at whatever show Mars in the lobby is called now, and you can be like, hey, you mind if I sit in the booth with you here? I wanted to bounce something off of you. I got so much value out of those interactions. And then when COVID hit, I felt like a lot of that dried up, even for the people who wanted to be proactive in having those.
And even when you're a first-term council member, and like I said, we've all been there, right? It's really, really hard to tell your friends no right after you get elected, right? It's really.
You talked
hard.
about all the stuff you're going to do. Now you better do it.
Yeah. So it's a tough environment. You're new. You're introduced to this new club of people. The issues are really big. I mean, we're not doing multiple choice answers anymore. We are now at the essay phase of answering questions for the city of Charlotte. Harder,
Analogy.
more complicated. He's good. More complicated, right? Just not a simple yes or no answer, right?
Time to put the high octane fuel in the car.
Can't go chasing waterfalls.
That was his go-to for years. It's time to put the high octane gasoline in the car.
Premium
Yes.
versus regular,
Absolutely.
right? And the airport is another example of that, right? It's
Jet fuel.
It's not yes or no, right? It's an economic engine for the region.
Yeah.
And we gotta be, sometimes it's hard, right? And you're a new member for the first time, and it's just tough.
Well,
But they're doing well. They're doing extremely well.
I'm glad to hear it. I mean, this is we got into. I feel like people probably got to know you a little deeper that maybe haven't seen you in such a. That's why we like this long, free form approach. You can really talk about.
I hope
a lot
you're
of
not
things
late
and
for
go
your
deep.
event.
Yeah, that event is done now.
I hope my
time is
car,
that?
my office is not A. That's
Yeah.
that's a possibility.
But that's I think it'll be interesting to see how all this shakes out. If I had to bet right now, I would bet that you don't end up running for mayor.
You think,
That'd be my
you
bet,
think
my
Polymarket's
guess.
got a
We can start it. Some betting odds. I think my take on you is you would do it. You would love doing it, and you would want to do it. But you've been around this council for a while. It is. I think everyone would agree. There's a level of dysfunction, and it would be a heavy toll to drop in there, especially as in the mayoral role where you have to figure out how to make that thing work. So you may end up doing it, and I think that's why. Year and a half from now is a long time, but we'll see. Maybe things will get better, and that'll change.
Well, let me end on this note, since we're wrapping up, about the city. And I think I used the phrase earlier in the conversation. We're so hot now. I mean, Charlotte is a magnet for a wide variety of good stuff. And sometimes, despite ourselves,
in spite of ourselves, we are succeeding.
We're succeeding. And so the momentum is growing and continuing throughout the city, all sectors of the city. And we just sometimes just need to get out of our own way and just let it happen. And I think if we do
Smaller
that,
government, love it.
I think we'll be fine.
Charlotte's got a lot.
Charlotte's got a lot.
Charlotte's got a lot.
Malcolm Graham, our first guest in the reboot, back here on episode 12, I think it was.
Sounds right.
Sounds right. Well, we appreciate it. We'll figure out some other stuff to talk about, I'm sure.
Okay. And again, I appreciate you guys. Yeah. And like I said earlier in the conversation, I miss your public service on the council.
Well,
Thank you, Fred.
I know that's not true.
He was looking at you, but talking to me.
He's like, you, Larkin. All right, that's
We
it.
appreciate you.
Later.
Shout if I burn to heal it, the louder they scream, the less they mean. There's truth in the dirt, not in the touchscreen.